Okay, next up we have Ming Lee, who is a scientist at the data team at BrainPOP. So we'll get to hear a little bit about game-based data.
Good morning, everyone. So this is my first educational sort of conference I've ever been to. Every time, I mean, I was a scientist in my previous life in a different sector, but every time we say good morning, it's just silence. So it's really fun to actually hear a response here. So I'm here today, and I'm excited to give my first ever TEDdy talk. I had no idea what it was. I didn't even try to ask. But then I figured out, it's a mini TED talk. So I'm from BrainPOP, and I'm there only very recently, like 6 months. But I've learned a lot based on, really what the company is about and, what we're trying to do. And it was just on Monday when I was at JFK, Starbucks counter, this guy saw this logo right here on this jacket and said, dude, you do not know how much I learned, 10 years ago by watching your movies. So that was very nice, and I was like, oh, great, I did not know what to say. So I guess I was flawed. In some ways, our company began nearly 20 years ago, and this was really the founder trying to make videos to make students actually understand difficult concepts. So he was a pediatrician, and he was trying to explain to kids who had cancer, and they didn't really know what it was. So he had to come up with creative ways to actually educate the information, pass on the information, and it turned out that it became a company. So here we are now. And you might be thinking, what's this got to do with data? And it turns out that only 2 years ago, the company decided to, why don't we just collect a bunch of data? And the goal here is really to sort of understand how users actually use our product, and from there, help with our design, our creation of new products, as well as actually help students and teachers, get feedback. So if you will go to our homepage, brainpop.com, you can see that we almost every day we have a new feature movie. In this case, autism, and then we have a list of the subjects. To date, we have, I think, just last week we had produced our 800th video, educational video. So there's tons of stuff on there. But then I want you to draw attention to the 7 different subjects that we actually have videos on. And really, we try to align our content, video content, to the Common Core and the state standards. Say, for instance, if you were to click on science subject, you get really a bunch of science units. And if you were to click on, say, Earth system over here, you get a further set of topics that we actually have on Earth system. We teach very current topics such as climate change. And I would like you to actually, in this particular example here that I want to give you, really look at Earth as a topic. If you click on Earth, we have, again, a feature movie about Earth. And by the way, this guy right here, his name is Moby. Yeah, Moby, and this is Tim. These are 2 main characters. Remember this guy here on the jacket. We have a movie here, and then every movie is tied to a few features, and we always have that. We have a quiz, and then we have a game that we developed called Sortify. It's really a sorting classification games, and then we have game ups, really partnerships with organizations such as CRESST. They make games, and then we put it on our platform, and then students get to play, and then we collect data. And then we have this Make a Map tool here. Is really something that a student, a platform could actually use to map out their knowledge. So it's very similar to concept mapping, except that here we are now able to actually collect some data on how students start to map up their knowledge. So as you can see, it's pretty exciting, and we didn't really have the ability to collect data like this. I guess 3 years ago. So we did this. We started collecting 2013, or I guess 4 years ago, yeah. So just to quickly run through, actually I already did. We have example of a quiz here, 10-question quiz, usual thing, so just get scores. You can actually get scores, students, the teachers can see it, and then you have a game. In this case, we have 10 different games that are sort of related to this topic on Earth. This is an example called Sizing Up the Universe. And then we have Make a Map, which is really, like I said, it's a tool to make concept maps. And of course, the Sortify game, which is in this case, I think one of, 50, one of the many that we'd actually have. The goal here is really to sort of evaluate your content knowledge, try to put the tiles here into, the different buckets, and then you score points. So we collect data like this, so game play-through data, right? So then, my job as a, somebody who, I wouldn't call myself a data junkie, but I'm somebody who really likes data, try to figure out what do we do with this data. So we are at a very exciting time where, we have more data than we have questions for. So this is right. This is interesting because coming to a conference like this, you get ideas on, what you can do. Like the hypotheses that you can actually come up with, and then the data that you can actually test it with. And we do it internally, right? Because we are a for-profit company. So one of the things that we are thinking about a lot right now is really how users use our content. The fact that we have an ecosystem of products, the ones that I sort of walk you through here really allow us to, try to understand how a student actually moved from, say, watching a movie to taking a quiz, back to a movie, onto another quiz, and then how they actually move for the entire year. So it's really exciting now. So it allows us to then look at, the depth and the breadth of knowledge that a student actually, accumulate over time, how they move from subject across units, as well as doing some data mining. When you start thinking about, what kind of combinations of features do they use? Do they go like movie, quiz, games? Or do they start with games and then they never left games? Or they start with quiz and they never really left quiz? So we are starting to sort of identify these interesting patterns. This is just one example of really, some of you might have seen this before, but really it sort of illustrate this flow of feature navigation. Right now, I'm not saying that, what we see here is how students learn, but rather what we see here is a reflection of really how students navigate our content. This is really, some people in the audience will probably know a Sankey diagram. It really sort of demonstrates the flow of feature navigation. You could start with, say, on the first column here being the first feature that a student actually enters, so the entry point. And then, just say they start watching a movie on the Earth topic. And then the next thing they do, for a lot of people, the width of this band here sort of represents the frequency of the number of students that actually started with movie and then, end up with the second feature being the quiz. So after they watch the movie, they go to a quiz, and then after that, they stop. They do something else. They got out of the system, they log out. But we also have some people who starts with a movie, and then they move on to a different movie over here, and then they will stop. Or they might, a portion of them would continue and then to take a quiz. And you could imagine that you could basically come up with endless, you can have a stream of content that the students actually navigate through. So that to us, especially me, is pretty exciting. So I just want to clarify that, although we are a for-profit company, we do have, very strict, privacy ethics, internal review. So in this way, we are able to, respect, the privacy laws that are in place right now. Another way to think about this is that, so we want to also try to find ways to, visualize this data mining approach, right? So what you see here is really a network visualization where, you have this blue node here, which is start. So imagine that what we are doing is we're trying to mine this very rich information data. And what we want to take out of it is really want to find how frequent different combinations of features are, the way students are using it. And it turned out that, not surprisingly, we get a lot of interest in science topics, all right? And then this is in science movies, which is in green. And then the next thing they would do is they would take a quiz in science. So we get that a lot, this whole combination of science movies and science quiz, less so for the other subject, right? So to some extent, it demonstrates the use of actually how students actually use our products. I mean, there's a lot of emphasis on using science topics, presumably because it's maybe the harder topics to deal with, the subjects to deal with. To end, I would like to hopefully have a chance to speak to you if you're interested in what we do here. We are starting to look for potential collaborations, especially from a research perspective. So I want your feedback. And then the other thing that we are very interested is, taking a different approach in assessment. Thinking about how to do formative assessment through, thinking about how students build their knowledge maps. I think we have right now, because we have a tool to actually collect that. So I think it's timely to think about that. So clearly, we're interested in developing metrics to actually help the teachers as well as the students. So having those feedbacks as you play a game or as you navigate the content, do the quizzes will actually help our users greatly. Thank you. You can reach me at this email address. Thank you very much.